ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 296 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. I'm your host, as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler. The magic number for this week is 110. Now, why 110? I'll tell you why. It's because that's the exact level I just reached today on my World of Warcraft character.
Nice!
I've been playing the game for like freaking 3 months, and I finally am to the content that I've been wanting to try out and play since I initially spent $50 on the expansion. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. You know, it's like I got my warrior, this and that, but other than that, you know, a lot of this week really wasn't as, like, fun, considering that I had to wait for, like, surgery stuff for my dad. But, other than that, though, everything else went fine in terms of his surgery, in terms of this and that. So he's feeling a hell of a lot better. I mean, I could tell just basically after the past couple of days where he now is not so much oblivious and wants to watch his sports and stuff, wants to do this and that. So, yeah, in and of itself, the last few days actually have been pretty decent in everything else. But anyway, what have you been doing, Tyler?
Nothing much different than usual. Just working away. Hawkeyes won again.
Yeah, there you go.
Go Hawks, 6-1. Woohoo. Went over to buddy's house, watched the game today, so that was nice. But other than that, you know, it's kind of a normal, boring week for Tyler. You know, just work, play some games. I'm trying to watch a crap ton of television shows at the same time, but also play video games. Very difficult to. Netflix has been killing it lately, like, you know, with some great shows. I got Daredevil.
Yeah.
The Haunting on Hill House.
Haunting on Hill House.
Yeah, it came out like last week on Netflix. It is absolutely amazing. It's a TV show. It's kind of a scary one, so I've been enjoying that. But doing a decent job of balancing things out and watching and playing games, I think, this week. But yeah, like I said, not a lot with me. But the big thing is we are, as of this recording, Gables, 2 weeks away from Extra Life.
Yeah, of course. And you know what?
Yes.
It just really feels awesome. I'm just kind of waiting for people upstairs to actually stop walking around, for God's sakes. Well, anyway, like I was saying, it's like, man, I just can't believe that it's just 2 weeks out before Extra Life just goes forth. And like, it's just gonna be upon us, you know? It's just really crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. So if people don't know, extra-life.org is the website you go to. It is a charity that people do where they play games for 24 straight hours and raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals in the United States and Canada. People sign up, donate money. If you're interested in donating, you go there, check it out. Look up Gabe. If you don't want a bag, just say no. Donate to him. And if you're interested at all in it or know people that might be interested in it, tell them about it. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's raised over $40 million. This is 10th anniversary of it. Last year, I believe it raised over $11 million.
Yep.
It's gone up every single year. So, cool thing that we do. But, you know, we were talking about the last couple weeks now about some past Extra Lives.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we talked about 2017. Last week, we talked about 2016. So this week, I thought we'd talk about 2015.
Okay.
So I went back and I listened to our Extra Life Hangover show, and we discussed it. I was just like, because I was trying to remember. I'm like, 2015, what happened there? What did we do? So, Gables, you played through Limbo.
Yep.
And you played the Indivisible beta, which that game is still not out yet.
I know, right?
That was a Kickstarter game over 3 years ago, and it's still not out. It's supposed to come out in 2019.
They're still adding stuff to that game, too.
Yeah. That game looks incredibly cool, but yeah, it's I don't know, who knows what's going to be here. I played through the entirety of Uncharted 2.
Yep.
And I played a bunch of Black Ops 3. That was like, I gave up. That was the first campaign I haven't finished of a Call of Duty game outside of WWE 2. Which Justin actually was nice enough to buy me a copy for Xbox One. So I have that now to play through. And I might try to play through that during Extra Life.
There you go.
Yeah, and I talked about last week. You want that ringer. You want that guy to come in middle of the night to kind of give you that little late boost you need in the middle of the night, or late in the run. And last year was West. Well, in 2015, it was Justin.
Yeah, it was.
I remember he got off work because he was working third shift at that point, and it was like, I don't know, probably 6-7 o'clock my time and about 4 or 5 o'clock your time. So he came in and joined us for the last few hours.
Oh my god, yeah, dude, that was such an interesting time too, because it's like he was just as exhausted as we were, when essentially he just pops on and stuff like that. Hey guys, how's it going? And like you and I are just so fucking dead, because it's like at that point I think you were still trying to like play something, and I was still in the middle of playing Limbo, which my god, it's like that whole portion of the night and stuff that makes that game actually seem a lot fucking better when you don't have a lot of sleep and it's like in the middle of the night. It actually adds to that. But anyway, it's like with Justin there, he actually kept us awake, and because of him I actually stayed awake up until like about 6 a.m. before I fucking passed out.
Because I remember he came in and it was like I was playing. I played through almost all of Flower. I was playing Flower to kind of get me through the last little bit there. And I remember he kept doing like it's like 15 minutes remaining. It's like 12 minutes remaining. Yeah. God damn it, Justin, you're not helping.
He tried to drift off.
Yeah. He just got off working a 12-hour shift, and he came and hung out with us in the party chat for a while. We played. Well, we kind of I don't want to say played games, but we games were on the screen. But yeah, that was a good year. Of course, we had a Rocket League gamer night like we always do during Extra Life.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so that was always fun. I remember I hated the Black Ops 3 campaign. So yeah, it was a good Extra Life. I remember playing. I remember that now because I was trying to remember what happened that when I went back and listened to it. I'm like, oh yeah, I played through all of Uncharted 2, and like I was just like, I remember being so upset because that game was like, there's like 27 chapters and it's like 8 too many. Like, this is like the last like 4 hours. I remember even I think it's like the last 4 hours could have been like compacted into like 30-40 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a good one though. I mean, it's kind of cool having a game like that to play though, or especially after already playing through Uncharted 2. And I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it last week or the week before that. It's like you want to. It sounds great. Like, oh, I'm gonna play a bunch of this game, but if it's like a story-driven game or a game you kind of need to pay attention to, especially if you're like us, where like you're just hanging out with your friends in a party chat, it's kind of difficult to play at times. Just trying to pay attention to the story and understand what happened, what's going on. But that was like the perfect game to play, where it took up most of my Extra Life marathon, and I already played through it once. And it's just a fast-paced, fun action game. So it's kind of like the perfect game to play through. Kind of like I was hoping the ReCore would have been in 2016, but obviously it wasn't. Yeah, that was a really cool Extra Life, and hopefully we have a ringer like that for next year's,
right?
Or for this year's, I mean.
And speaking about Extra Life, this year I decided to do a little bit of add a little bit more flair, if you will, in terms of a tier list. Now, I have been teasing for a little bit on Facebook that I want to try to create a tier list, so that way, if I get past certain thresholds of raising past a certain extent, that I was going to be doing like this and that and stuff. Well, as of today, I actually have the full list that's available on Facebook, and I will read it out here for the listeners.
Okay.
So basically, my entire goal is like $300. I mean, it's more than reasonable. I've already crossed a threshold like a couple of years back where I got over my $200 goal and stuff. So every time I get past a certain goal, I increase the amount and stuff. And even though I wasn't near as close as I was last year in help raising money, I still raised enough to where it was somewhat respectable. So for this year, I wanted to try to get people try to spur people into like wanting to donate stuff. So this is basically what I have so far. So I begin with a $30. If I get past the $30 threshold, I will post a video of myself singing something. That is just something that I'll just do randomly and stuff. I know that I'm already past this threshold already because I passed $30 today. So sometime during this weekend, I'm going to post a video probably on Facebook and on Twitter as well of me singing something. Now the next one is for $60 raised, and I will eat a ghost pepper live.
Oh, Lord.
I know. I've heard of how spicy these ghost peppers are. I've had friends try to give me ghost peppers or even talk me into eating a ghost pepper. So, in a way, I'm kind of hesitant to do this, but if I get past that $60 mark, I will bite the bullet. I will record myself live on Facebook and on Twitter eating a ghost pepper. Now, the next one we got here is past $100 raised. Basically, I will stream myself either on the PS4 or Switch or even Steam playing entirely through a terrible game of the donor's choice. Now, I kind of coughed out like a bit ago or something like that, not finishing Resident Evil 6, and I kind of want to get back to the whole concept of it, where, hey, if I raise past a certain extent, like, say, this $100 threshold, I'll leave it up to the donors or for you guys over the Talking Ship or whoever, what bad game should I play through? And I know those guys will think of something horrible, so it's going to be kind of fun. Now, the next threshold, this one is going to be kind of a little bit personal, but it's also going to be a hilarious thing, and this is basically to try to see if any of my coworkers actually do listen to this podcast. Because, here's the thing, I don't know, I've heard some friends say they listen to this podcast, blah, 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 blah. So, if I pass the $150 raised, I will wear a cosplay wig at my workplace. So, yeah, I'm a supervisor, right, in the hard lines. I will wear it for an entire week while working. So, I will pick a random cosplay wig. I'm going to wear it and stuff and try to work with people. And, oh my god, yeah, that would actually be kind of hysterical. But at the same time, it's going to make me feel like 3 feet tall. But, yeah, I've just had a lot of fun just trying to create the certain tiers of this list. Now, the next is $200 raised. Basically, I'm going to do a test of endurance if I get past $200, where it's like, I will stop drinking coffee for an entire month.
Ooh, no. Gables, why? I love the kids. I don't know if even I can do that.
No, for you, it'd be like a fucking, like, stop drinking something for a month. Like, stop drinking, like, say, like, IPAs or whatever the fuck you do.
No, why would you, no. No, but I have a crippling caffeine addiction. I'm fully aware of this. I would give up alcohol for a year before I'd give up coffee for a month.
Well, if you think that's bad, Tyler, listen to the $250 raised one. I will quit eating pizza for 6 months.
No! I had pizza 3 times this week. These are terrible things. Why would you do this?
I want people to try to donate.
Oh, God, Gables.
So, here's going to be a little bit interesting one. For $300 raised, for the person who donates the most, I will give them a game or a gift card of their choice. Within reason, obviously. Like, I'm not going to spend like 300 fucking bucks on a damn game or a gift card, but it's basically for whoever, like, donates the most in terms of, like, the whole overall Extra Life stuff. And that's basically, this extends from the Extra Life Day, November 3rd, all the way to the end of the year. So basically, they probably are not going to see this thing until, like, probably the end of the year at most. Now, the last one, if there's something where I actually go forth and raise over $300, which quite honestly, I'm not sure if I will, but I'm going to be trying to aim for this. If I raise over $300, I will get a tattoo on my arm of whatever the donors want. So I'll place that into their hands. But my thing is, I will not have any type of offensive images, words, or raunchy stuff put on my body, honestly. But other than that, though, yeah, that's my tier list for this Extra Life 2018. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting year for my Extra Life. I'm going to see if I can get people to actually donate to see if they actually can get me to do those things. But yeah, I'm spreading the word. I will be posting this on Twitter after we get done recording and stuff like that. But other than that, though, I'm just going to be spreading it out. Just spreading out the information all around.
Oh, well, that's cool, Gables. I would say, if you had to do the tattoo, I would just say get the Extra Life tattoo.
Yeah.
Which
I hope that's basically what ends up happening, you know, where it's like, hey, I wouldn't mind getting the Extra Life tattoo on my arm.
Yeah, it's for a good cause. I don't regret it. Whatever. It's one of the greatest things I think I've ever did. Or one of the most worthwhile things I've ever done. So it's yeah. I would say if you donate that, just tell them to get the Extra Life tattoo. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
As tempting as it would be, Extra Life tattoo. But yeah, I hope you get some donations, Gables. I hope you I want to oh man, what would be I want you to wear a Mr. T wig. For sure. You know, I don't want to wear a wig. I want you just to have that hair.
Oh god.
Mr. T hair.
And that's why I chose a cosplay wig, because that would actually give me a lot of freaking hair on my head.
There you go. And then what would the game be? So we ran RE6 into the ground. What would be the game that you should play?
I know, right?
Oh man, there's so many options. I'm like, do we want to play something like that came out recently, or like this generation, or older? Or?
It's got to be this generation, pretty much, because I pretty much have it down to where it's like Switch, PS4, or Steam, pretty much. So it's got to be within the realm of this console generation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna. Let's see here. I'm just doing a search here. Generation. we're gonna look it up. Oh, here we go.
We're gonna see the worst games released this year.
Sonic 06.
That's last generation.
I don't care. Sonic 06.
I don't even have a 360.
Sonic 06.
Oh, God.
All right, big rigs racing. How about that?
Big rigs racing. Oh, is that even available digitally?
Who knows? Duke Nukem Forever.
That's last year too.
I'm looking. Quit yelling at me. Oh man, there's just like games just aren't as bad as they used to be because we don't have Sonic Boom for Wii U.
Oh whoa.
That'd be a game.
Oh boy.
Oh, Umbrella Corps. Oh no, there's nobody online anymore. Never mind. I think I think that's gotta be it right there. I think Sonic Boom would be the game you have to play through.
Sonic Boom on the Wii U. Oh God.
That's be it.
It's screaming myself playing Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But anyways, I guess we can get into the let's do what we've been playing first.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of news this week, so we'll do that. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You know what? I've just gone through the past couple minutes just talking straight. So let's see what you've been playing, Tyler.
Okay. I've primarily played one game this week. I played a lot more of the Vampyr. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. But I played through a good chunk of that. I talked about last week. I sunk a bunch of time into that last week, and I've been playing a lot over the course of the week. And I was talking about it kind of sucked. The fact that it felt like you had to like you can be good or bad, and you can so a lot of people there's like an epidemic going through the town. A lot of people are dying of an illness, and you're a doctor who's also a vampire, and you can either save them or you can kill them and drink their blood. And the only real way to level up in this game without doing a crap ton of grinding, and I mean a crap ton of grinding, is by killing people. So, and I mean in the actual like definition of like if you look up the dictionary of literal, I mean that to a T. I literally murdered everybody in the game. literally murdered everybody. They're all dead. They're all dead. Everybody. I even got the trophy for making every district hostile. Like they have you can look up every district and you can see like it shows you everybody in each district. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and it has X's and it like makes their faces gray if they're dead. They're all gone.
Oh my god.
They're all gone. They're dead, Gables. I killed them all.
Oh my god, this game.
Oh. And there's so many side quests in this game that I just couldn't do because I killed the person that you're supposed to use to solve them. And I would find objects supposed to give to these people, but I already killed them.
Oh no.
They're all dead. They're all dead.
You basically just broke the game for yourself because the fucking game encourages you to kill people for mass XP.
Yeah. Like I was saying last week, so every like enemy you fight, like random enemy, you get 5 experience points. You kill a boss, you get, I don't know, 500, 800 experience points, which it's a decent amount, but it's not a lot. But I can just kill fucking this random dude in the streets that I don't think I'll ever have anything to do with and get 1,000. I'll kill somebody and get 8,000. It's just the balance is way off.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Like, when you're gonna do a lot of grinding is like just going around the streets fighting a bunch of enemies, getting 5 experience points at a time. When a little bit later in the game, where just to level up one thing is between 1,000 and 4,000 experience points. Obviously, you're going to be going around fighting for a while, and this game is a really bad Dark Souls game. As far as the gameplay goes, where like you can't get the areas, but you can unlock like doors later on that can make shortcuts to other areas. The combat, they try to make it Dark Souls-esque, where it's a lot of dodging and timing and stuff like that. It's just clunky and it's not good. Like this game, from a technical standpoint, is very bad. Like the frame rate's terrible. The loading times are ungodly. The combat is just very boring. If I can do one thing over again, I don't know. I think I might have mentioned this last week. I would put the game on easy, and just ran through the game because I thought so. The characters in the game before I murdered them all were really cool, and I thought the story and the universe that they built is very interesting. But here comes the major problem with this game, and this is something I didn't realize until I went online and I started reading about it. Is I said, I thought putting this game on easy, but like the game isn't like obscenely hard. I died a few times before I got to the last boss, but it was just more like I kind of got a little antsy and rushed in. I should have been a little smarter, or I maybe got a little overrun by some characters. But for the most part, I flew through the game because I was at a fairly high level at all for most of the game, and so I went to the last boss. I'm at like level 43 or 44. I went to the last boss and they're like 51. I'm like, oh shit! I've never seen a character that was like more than a level above me throughout this entire gameplay, and they destroyed me. The last boss just completely destroyed me. It wasn't even close. And I'm like, holy crap! Like I barely put a dent in this. I gave him like all my best shots, and it barely put a dent in him. And I didn't realize this until this last boss, but like you have serums you can use. They're like that, like give you, like health potions and stamina potions, stuff like that. You can go. So I maxed out everything for that and went in and I used them all in this fight. And like I said, I barely made a dent. But I didn't realize this until I got to the last boss. When you reboot your last save, you reboot the save and you start going to that last boss again, you lose all of those.
What?
Like they don't bring those back. Yeah. So all the ammo I use all my ammo, my guns fighting this last boss. I use all my serums on this last boss, and you don't get them back. And these resources are actually really hard to find, like to make health potions. Like I've maybe been able to make 30 or 40 throughout the entire game. So I have no more resources to do it. And even if I wanted to, I'd have to go through about 3 or 4 loading screens, and there's no fast travel in this game. And run all the way back to one of my hideouts to do this. So I'd have to probably spend 15-20 minutes doing this again just to get a few. And so anyways, I went in and I get a little further every time, but I didn't have my health potions or any of my potions at all. So I pretty much just got destroyed after like 6-7 attempts, and it wasn't like the best I did. I got halfway one time, and that was like a 20-minute battle. Like I probably spent about an hour trying to fight this, and it wasn't like it was just me holding on for dear life the whole time. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I was just like, I don't understand. Like, how did this game get so hard so fast? Like, where I just flew through this game, and now all of a sudden I can't. I'm like struggling, like very badly. And I went and looked it up, and the game didn't mention this at all. I didn't know anything about this until I looked this up. So if you go, the more people you kill in the game, the harder the last boss gets.
Oh no!
So
oh, no.
yeah. So I was reading about people that played like the pacifist one where they didn't kill anybody, and the last boss is like incredibly easy. Like they went in like level 24, 25, and they destroyed the boss fairly easily. I'm level 43, and I could barely put a dent in this damn thing.
Wow.
So yeah, I am basically like, and this is where I really wish I would I can switch the difficulty level to easy. I don't even know if I can still beat the damn thing, but yeah. So I tried a few more after I read. I'm like, fuck, I totally screwed myself on this thing. Like it's just like it's kind of weird and it's frustrating where it's like so they made this game where like the only way you can level up and get better is by killing people, but then in the end of the game, getting better actually makes it harder for you with like it's just really weird.
They just basically the game design kind of sounds like what they did is for the people who were tempted to get the easy XP from the get-go would have a hell of a harder time facing the final boss, as opposed to getting minimal gains from actually helping people doing the side quests, and have that be the grind, and then have the final boss is just incredibly easy. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, and the game is not the combat is not fun enough to if I had to play the whole game like that, like struggling in that combat, I don't know if I would have made it to the last boss. So it's a weird thing where like the game isn't good enough. I don't think the combat gameplay is not good enough to deal with all that crap. Like if I had to fight and do all the difficulty and all that stuff, and just the loading screens and having to deal with like getting resources back and all that, I don't think I would have made it to the last boss if I played the pacifist way. Just because, like I said, I deal with all the bull crap of fighting my way to it. Because there's a lot. I mean, you spend most of the game probably fighting.
Right.
But I made it to the last boss. Now I can't beat the game because I went this route. So I don't know. It's like I really like I said, this game is not technically a very good game. Like I cannot recommend this game to anybody. From like if you were to play this game, I can't believe this game was $60, and I bought it for 40. And it's $40 is the max it should be. This is not a full price game. It should not be anyways. And if you do get this game, like get it when it's super cheap, put it on easy, and play through it that way, and just kind of take my words as advice and not what not to do. Unless that's the way you want to play the game. But I would say put it on easy because I still like the game quite a bit. Like I was hooked on this game and I was flying through it just because I enjoyed the world and the characters so much. Because there are characters in the world that you just can't kill, and like they have to be there for the storyline purposes. There's vampires and there's other there's like vampire hunters, stuff like that. They are there permanently for the storyline purposes. And the characters that you could kill, I killed them. So I really like this game, and I wish I couldn't beat it, but I just don't want to deal with the bullshit of grinding, of like having to grind a bunch and then also have to go and find these hard to find resources because you can't buy them from merchants. Not that there's any merchants left in my game because I murdered them. You have to go around the city and like pillage through trash cans and break boxes and find these things to craft more serums. And I mean, it takes a decent amount of resources to make these things. So it's just, it took me hours of playing through this game to get to where I was on that, and I don't want to spend hours of playing the worst part of the game to get back to that boss fight. And if I lose one time, then I have to do it all over again, and I'm not gonna do that. So I kind of rage quitted on the game last night. I might go back, but I'm just so frustrated right now with when I found that out, that you lose all of your resources. It's just incredibly stupid. And that's not just because I picked this evil route. It's just that's how the game's designed, and it doesn't make any sense at all. It feels very much like something that would happen in like the PS2 era of a game, not something that should happen in 2018 with video games. But yeah, anyways, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this game. Where like,
sounds like
the majority of the game is not good, but the peaks, like the high points of the game, are really fun. You know, I really are not really fun, but like really interesting. Like I said, the world, the story, all that, the characters are really interesting, but the rest of the game is just not. So yeah, if I go back to it, I'll talk about it. But right now, I'm just so incredibly frustrated. I stopped playing. Like I said, I rage quit last night. I started playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey again. Went back to that.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna play that for a little bit before I see where I go. See how I feel about Vampyr in a week or so. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. What about you, Gables?
So basically, like I was saying before, I got to 110 in World of Warcraft and stuff. And for the better part of this week, well, pretty much for the past part of like just a week and a half, I've been playing through the whole Legion expansion content, which at this point is like a couple of years old. So I basically went through a couple of different islands from like Azuna and also Val'sharah, which basically had very strong story elements. To be perfectly honest, up until now, I've only encountered some bits of story elements, some things that are interesting here and there. Then going through the slog, that was the whole Warlords of Draenor stuff. That one actually was the low point of the playthrough so far that I've done with my character. And now I go the exact opposite, where like the story and all the dungeon stuff, I was actively dungeon queuing, basically waiting to get into like a online dungeon with a bunch of people, just to go through and finish specific dungeons, because I liked the storyline stuff from what I had went through, completing all the story missions for Azuna, the little continent Azuna, and then like the one right on top of it, the country like of Val'sharah and stuff, and seeing a lot of the various resolution stuff just play out. That was fairly enjoyable, to be perfectly honest. Like I'm finishing up in another area of Legion. I think I'm going to stick around with Legion for a little bit before I go into the whole like Battle for Azeroth stuff, because, well, for one, the armor that I have right at this moment is basically my heirloom armor, which helped me gain a bunch of experience. It's only good until level 110, so basically the armor I have right now, I gotta store it in the bank and use something else. So all my experience boost that I had to get to the level by level, it's no longer there, so I'm gonna save it for like another character, basically. But other than that, in the middle of doing stuff, there is this little event that's going on right now for the game where you have to go into this random dungeon, right? Where you have to fight this boss that's like the Headless Horseman. And so basically you fight this boss with a bunch of people, and it drops these little trick-or-treat buckets, right? These little pumpkin heads and stuff. And basically you're trying to collect these. You can only do this once per day. Collect this purple pumpkin things. And inside of it, you get like various like rare drops. Like you can actually get a mount to where it's actually like the Headless Horseman's horse. And that's something I've been trying to go after and stuff. But I haven't gotten to it yet. I've only done it like maybe 2 or 3 times in the past like couple days. But I did get a weapon, Tyler, and the weapon, this sword, it actually summons pumpkin soldiers when you attack people.
Oh, God.
That actually sounds amazing. But the problem is, with my character, my warrior, he doesn't use single-handed like weapons. He uses two-handed weapons, like a great sword or this or that. So I gotta save that for another character. But on top of that, I also decided to check out if I could actually get a couple different mounts. And so I went to this whole auction house stuff. So basically in World of Warcraft, there is a auction house to where you can actually pay specific things like gold and stuff for particular items from like food, crafting elements, armor that other people. It's basically from what other users have put up online from what they've earned. And there's a little miscellaneous section to where mounts are. So I'm scrolling through there, and all of a sudden I come across something, a magic carpet. I'm like, a magic carpet? Wait, what? I can actually ride around on a magic carpet? So I go through and I buy this thing, and it didn't really cost me a lot of gold and stuff because of I had a lot left to spare, let's just say that. And come to find out, I cannot add this to my account yet because I do not have the whole tailoring ability at level 1. Because with my character, you're only allowed to choose 2 professions. And for my warrior, I have blacksmithing and then I have mining. So the concept behind that is like mining ore and copper and all those other types of regent type of things in order to blacksmith things into like armor, like swords, boots, this and that. So I'm going to save that for another character I will make eventually. Yeah, just another one. I know, right? But anyway, I ended up getting like about, I kid you not, that was one of like 4 new mounts that I got. The other 2 I actually got through, there's a vendor inside of Stormwind where you can actually go through and it's a guild vendor, which means if you join a specific guild and stuff, there are things that they'll offer you for like the sale, you know, for like a discounted price in comparison to say paying specific merchants inside the overworld of World of Warcraft. And I bought these 2 mounts. One of them's a lion, and the other one is a dark phoenix. And my god, riding this dark phoenix around and stuff, it's so fucking cool. It's such a badass thing. It's like a big old purple freaking firebird or something like that just going along the sky. But the last one that I ended up getting was I ended up getting this drake, this twilight drake, from inside of this particular, like this worm tower or something like that, inside of the whole Wrath of the Lich King expansion. I ended up, what you have to do to try to get this is you have to go through a raid by yourself. You're over leveled at this point anyway, and you're allowed to actually step inside raid, like older raids or something like that, just by yourself without having to queue for it. Which I didn't know that up until this week. And so here I am, and the main boss of that entire thing is like standing right in the middle and have all his other like cohorts or something like right on the sides. And so basically in order to acquire this mount, I had to defeat this boss before defeating the other 3 like drakes or something like that that were there. And so I went forth, I killed the lead boss by a thread because I got swarmed so badly by like about a couple of different like dragon mobs. But because I was like about, oh god, a good solid 20 or 30 levels over the recommended thing for the dungeon, I basically killed them all pretty much in like 1 or 2 hits. So I ended up getting that Twilight Drake mount, which looks pretty cool. I'm just riding a freaking dragon just across the sky and stuff, and it's a lot better than what I had initially, which was like the standard mounts that I would get from vendors, like a griffin mount, or like stuff like, say, horses, or this or that, you know, just standard attire. Or even like, kind of like, it's sort of, they're like rare as the sea turtle that I fished up in those pools of water. Honestly, the same type of expansion that I got this Twilight Drake in as well. But yeah, that's... I am aiming, actually, to try to get this other mount, but I can only do it once a week, right? To where I have to go through this raid inside of the Outlands and stuff. And this is basically a mount that looks like a giant firebird. It's one of the older mounts from back in the day. It's called the Ashes of Alar. And basically it has like a 1.5% drop rate when you defeat the final boss. But like I said, because you're so overpowered when you get there, like at this point I'm like at 110, and the boss is there is like about 70 something. So I'm just beating creatures and stuff with just one shot anyway, and so it just takes maybe like about maybe 5-10 minutes or so like that just to go through this raid, get various rare items, of course, but man. So I'll end up. That's one thing I want to do, and the other is eventually get to the BFA content. But as of right now, I am taking care of a bunch of the Legion content since I don't want to leave there immediately. And then the second is like I want to try to see if I can get that Headless Horseman mount. But that's been really enjoyable. The other game that I was playing a little bit more of, I was playing a little bit more Rocket League on the Switch. I had it with me today. Basically what I do in order to try to get my fill of Rocket League on other platforms is I go through a season mode. I set it to like the hardest difficulty level, the longest weeks and stuff. And basically I have it to like about 36 weeks up until they do a playoff and stuff. And so now I'm like at 31. I have been grinding today. I had like about at week 20 and I got it all the way to week 31. So it's like, oh Jesus Christ, all these games. But yeah, I'm just really recognizing how the AI can be just choppy at points to where if you're doing well, all of a sudden it's like a mistimed shot, but the AI, like they're bumping out of the way or this or that, and all of a sudden the CPU scores. Man, I've absolutely hated that about Rocket League, where you're playing alone and then all of a sudden it's like you're doing a season mode and this and that. At this moment, I believe I'm 22-3 for the season, which is not bad. I'm still number 1 in terms of the score rankings and stuff, but yeah, there were some matches that I lost like by a goal or something like that because of stupid shenanigans. But the last game that I have been playing, and basically all 3 of the games that I played this week were games I've already played before. I know that I need to play new stuff. It's just basically what I've been into this past week is I've been playing more Dragonball FighterZ Z on the PS4.
Oh, cool.
I want to get better with the characters I like. So for those that are listening at home, if you're a fan of this game, I basically have been trying to perfect little bits of the team of Piccolo, Android 16, and Hit. All 3 of these characters I love to play as because they're so fun just to set up combos and stuff, especially with Hit, because you do this heavy kick attack, right, and just your opponent goes flying all the way across the screen, right, hits and like ricochets off the back end of like the side of the screen, and all of a sudden you do this attack where you can freeze the opponent in place and stuff, and then all of a sudden you just do like a vanish attack, just basically, oh yeah, you basically hit him and stuff like that. Then you gotta time this middle punch and then like do all this other crazy crap until you set up his special to where he's just like dashing and does that freaking like 25 hit combo or something like that with the R2 quarter circle R2 or something like that. Yeah, it's a lot complicated to explain it obviously, but it's like just setting up in-depth combos and figuring out what's easier to try to use has been fun, and I have had some moderate success playing through things like arcade mode and this and that, because I basically am now starting to learn what the game does not tell you in terms of secret techniques. Like, Tyler, did you know you can actually reflect Kai blasts in that game?
No, absolutely not. I'm not that good at this game.
Well, here's the thing. In order to reflect them, you got to hold back on your D-pad and X. You have to time it and stuff like that. So they shoot a fireball at you. You do that like at the same time or something. And you can actually reflect it. And what's the most awesome part about it is once you reflect it, it actually damages the background. So you can actually see damage like in the environment when every time you dodge like Kai blasts and this and that. So see if you're on the World Tournament stage, you can actually see damage in the World Tournament, like the building and stuff, which is a cool touch. I like that. But yeah, other types of things that they don't tell you about is that they don't tell you that they basically don't tell you how certain characters can do like specific combos that it's like separate from, yeah, that are basically separate from like what the combo thing tells you. Like, for example, the combo mode, you can go through 100% of everything that the commands and everything else can go through, what the game designers recommend you doing. However, you can actually create a whole bunch of random combos and just basically mix things up to where like you discover them, which that's what I've been trying to do, and it's absolutely fun just to go through and just experiment. Okay, let's see what happens if I launch somebody in the air and all of a sudden I call in one of my party members and all of a sudden I figure out that there's a combo that I can actually switch into another character and then do a combo in the air, grab him, toss him to the ground, and all of a sudden execute this level 2 special that I got from my character. I'm like, holy shit, this feels amazing. It's the feeling of like getting a high level play or a high level combo just executed off. That's just the most amazing feel with Dragonball FighterZ to me. Because with other games that I've played that are similar to like that, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter 3, there were moments where I realized, hey, you know what? I can use the moves, but the timing of certain moves, the frames that I have to count to do that, I don't understand that readily. And all of a sudden I play a game to where it's easier for me to set up, and the basic combos are pretty easy to try to understand, and basically it's teaching me a little bit of the advanced terms of what competitive fighting gamers actually go through in terms of getting better with characters and knowing when to juggle a character, knowing when to do this, just the deep technical stuff in it that just totally fascinates me with this. But yeah, other than that, that's basically what I have been playing for this week.
All right, well, very cool, man. I'm glad you're still enjoying that game.
Holy
shit! I need to get back into that game because it's
you
an
do
excellent game.
Because that's a fucking amazing game.
Yeah, if only it wasn't anime.
Yeah.
No. So not a lot of news this week. I mean, I don't know. There's two big stories. I don't really know how much we want to get into, like crunch in the video game world. It's been a big thing this week with after the interview about Red Dead Redemption 2, about working 100+ hour weeks, and I mean, obviously that's nobody should have to do that. Work 100 hours a week. There's only like 160 hours in a week,
right?
And if you to spend over 100 of that, you have to literally sleep at work to get those hours, or get your job done is absolutely insane.
It is. Truly it is.
Yeah. But you know, I don't know, because it's a shitty thing. I'm not trying to defend it at all. But people are talking about how it's really bad at video games. I mean, I think it is because it's more about it's an entertainment thing. It's worse in there because when you look at like other entertainment things like music, like movies and TV have really great unions for them that prevent stuff like this. Music is a whole different beast in itself, and you know, video games they don't have those. Unfortunately, employees don't have that luxury of a union, or like they work incredible ton of hours, but they have no like safety net if you know when they get laid off or whatever. But it's like if like just going on Twitter, like you know, Twitter gets a bad rap, and deservedly so. There's a lot of shit on there. Mainly the president, but a lot of other things too. And you know, like I like to go on there and I like to like go and search and look up these things when they happen. It kind of just like read the room in a way, like where I go on there and I read like a lot of the top things coming out. And no one's really defending this, but like I thought I don't know, maybe it's just me and maybe some other people, and maybe it's a small segment. Like I have spent the better part of my 20s working 60+ hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously I've never worked a 100-hour week before. I've worked a couple of 80-hour weeks before.
Oh god,
and that's insane. Where you work, I mean, you think about it, if you work 6 12s, that's only 72 hours. So and I worked those, and it's just like I've worked you know, my company now I've talked about you know, like we work 60 hours a week regularly in the winter and early spring and late fall. And you know, in my last job before that, it was the same way, but it was all year round. Like you just work those hours. That was what you did.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say like right, wrong, and different. Like I don't want to do that. I don't think anybody would want to do that. it's shitty that someone it's a miserable, terrible experience to go through, especially for such long stretches. But I don't. It's so weird like that. Like, I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't have a union or a way to back it up. My thing is like I feel like everybody should have that. You know, it's
Very
like
true.
I definitely want video game because like they make these things that I love and that like when you work those 70-hour weeks and you go home and I go home and I play Madden or I play a game that like a lot of times these are the things that kind of keep me sane like during these stretches and
Yeah.
I think video games do that for a lot of people and so yeah they should definitely but I don't know. It's just like I'm not trying to sit there and say, "Oh, boo-hoo, get over it," kind of thing, because that should not happen. It should not happen anywhere. Like whether you're a firefighter, police, you're a police officer, or anything like that. You know, like I think most companies have a crunch, and I think you need to have. You know, companies need, like people are talking about. Oh, there's got to be a way where you don't have crunch, you don't have to work these kind of hours, but you have to have deadlines. Nothing gets done if you don't have deadlines.
That's very true.
You need to have these things. But I'm just trying to figure out where's the balance in this because I feel like a union in video games is and union in anything like unless you're already a union, becoming one now in 2018 is so hard, especially as like unions are kind of fading away. Like getting them now is next to impossible. I think unless everybody like in the video game industry or in any industry whatever they're in all just like boycotted or just stopped right now and it's just a weird loaded thing where it's an issue I think across many industries and most workplaces but in the like how as fans like with video, just getting back to the video game side of things, how do fans do we deal with this? Like what's the proper way of saying we don't want this anymore? We don't want these guys have to work 100-hour weeks. Like I understand like sometimes we're going to have to work 50, 60-hour weeks, maybe some 70-hour weeks here and there. And this isn't just an RDR2 thing. This is just in the industry as a whole. Like when Telltale happened, like a lot of the employees that got laid off. Like I've been doing crunch for years straight, barely see my family, and I just got laid off with no severance package. You know, like, they got nothing, and these guys have been doing it for years. And I'm not trying to sit there and make this a dick measuring contest or say that these guys got it worse than others, and it's not like that. This goes on EA, Activision, AA games, indie games, I'm sure too. But how do you fix that? Because it is a weird like pride thing, I think too for a lot of people, and it's like I've definitely had that on occasions where it's like you hear people talking about how many hours they worked. They're like, oh yeah, well I worked this many hours. I've done that. I've been that guy, and it's stupid. Like it took me a long time to realize how silly of a thing that is. And I think that's still an issue for a lot of people, and I think I get a lot of that from my dad, where he to this day like I hear him talk about how many hours he's worked or all the hours he's worked in his life, and it's just like you get that mindset is like if you want to get somewhere or he got to where he is by just working hard and being reliable, and I got that mindset the same way. I think that's a thing for a lot of things, and also it's a weird, stupid like. I'm not trying to make this. There's a lot of women out there I know that do it too, but like from dealing with it as a man on the man side, it's like you get that weird like testosterone thing where it's like, oh, this guy works 62 hours, well I can work 65, and it's just dumb.
It is dumb.
It really is.
Truthfully.
And like, yeah, and maybe these people didn't have the option to do it. I don't know, but if they did, you as an employer, you have to like look out for like, hey, these guys like, oh, they're great, they're getting this stuff done for us. This is awesome. But as an employer, you gotta look like look out for that. Like it's also your job to make sure that people are safe. Like in my company where I work at, we have OSHA. We have a lot of my company's really good on safety because we work in a fairly dangerous place where bad things can happen to people. And they do a good job of looking at we need those things in place to look out for for employees, and for the most part, management, well, if there's an opportunity to send people home early, especially if they work a lot of long hours, or some of the managers on the floor, like when they see a break, and I'll tell employees myself, like hey, we're working some crazy stretch hours. They're coming up here soon, or even when we're in the middle of it. It's like, hey, like if you see a break in there, like something comes up and you can leave early or get a day off, take it, because they don't come often. Because we do a lot of, like, we don't, like I said, we don't do 100-hour weeks where I work, but there is a very long crunch period where it's just 60, 70-hour weeks every week for months on end. And,
right.
And a lot of companies are like that, I'm sure. But yeah, I just, going back to the video games again. Sorry, I keep going on tangents, but like, how do we, like, what, like, do we boycott the game? Like, is that what would that be good? Because I feel like that would maybe that would get the, like,
now the thing is with boycotting stuff, I mean, yes, raising awareness of the stuff that's happening is definitely as important, but I don't know if that's actually like the crux of the different things that's going to help propel into something that's going to be ever changing and stuff. Because even if a lot of gamers were to go out and say they wanted to boycott Red Dead Redemption 2 or something like that, at the end of the day, there will be some that will do that, but at the same point, it's going to get ignored, and people are still going to buy that game regardless. And that's not because of the fault of, like, say, the people that are working long hours. It's definitely not the fault of, like, say, like, Activision and stuff like that, but it's because of the mindset that people are unaware of such a thing that's happening at the same time. And like you were just saying, like when people get into the mind frames of like how many hours they've worked a specific week, or how many things that they've done like at a specific time just to get things done and stuff. The harsh reality is, in terms of the gaming landscape in general, these crunch hours, they're fairly common. And that's the thing, they absolutely suck. Reading the comments from people on Twitter and like all the horror stories that they went through and like in regards to doing game crunches and game deadlines and stuff is absolutely horrific, from people like getting sick or something like that and afraid to like going home and stuff like that because they may get fired because they actually took a day off or some shit, or this and that. It's like, in order to try to solve this, it definitely starts with the consumers first, and it has to work itself the way up. Because it wasn't until after this sort of like story came to light by like Jason Schreier and stuff like that from Kotaku, that people started to get wind of it on Twitter. Other employees, just like from Rockstar themselves, going through and just issuing their stories and stuff, to the extent where Rockstar, the company itself, actually ended up going through and just basically allowed a lot of their customers, not a lot of their customers, but excuse me, a lot of their like workers can go, just gave them the okay, you can vent this instead on their online stuff. And basically, in and of itself, it did help in terms of raising awareness in terms of this, but the actual solution to this has to be the money in their wallets, pretty much. We consumers, the money inside of our wallets, this is basically what's end up going to influence whether we're going to change specific things or not. Regardless of what happens with like Red Dead Redemption 2, the success and stuff like that, people will remember in the back of their minds, hey, a lot of these workers inside this workplace spend like about 80 to 100 fucking hours a week in order to try to crunch and get this stuff going and stuff. Yeah. Are we really like spending our money towards products and stuff like that people basically have sacrificed their livelihoods, their marriages, their this and that in order to try to sell you this $60 fucking game and stuff that you barely probably will maybe play for a week and then probably trade it into GameStop or this and that, It's just that type of harsh reality that people have to like sort of understand and get aware of first before they try to do specific stuff. But what I'm saying is, Tyler, I don't know if there is an actual solution at this time, but what it does begin with is for us as gamers to go through and say, hey, I don't want to buy this shit. I know this company's a piece of shit. But getting through to gamers in that type of a scale is ever so hard because we are encruxed with like the next biggest thing or the next biggest things that we have to buy. And that in and of itself repeats the cycle of this like just constant grind and this and that. So it's like, man, I don't know how to eloquently else to put it, man. It's like we got to definitely think of like solutions to this type of landscape, not only for the gaming industry, but for like just the whole concept of this business like industrial sort of like esque revolutionary time period that we are experiencing at this time, because it's this times right now where people are working the 80, 100-hour plus weeks and have done this for like maybe decades or something like that, is really reminiscent to like how in the Industrial Revolution stuff back around the 20s, 30s and stuff and so on and so forth, where people were pretty much doing the same thing, only getting paid next to nothing in order to just work in sweatshops and this and that. It's bullshit, and basically just starts with us saying enough's enough.
And it's difficult, and that's where I was talking about the boycott thing, where like these guys just spent like damn near killed themselves and gave up time with their family and friends and just living a life
right
to make this game. So if we boycott it and don't buy it and we don't play the thing they just damn near killed themselves for, is that what they want?
I know, that's what's complicated in this matter too. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because you want those people to earn their pay, obviously.
Yeah. Especially when sales and review scores is all part of, like, these guys getting bonuses.
Oh, the whole Metacritic influence on certain shit, which a lot of those ratings have been, like, modified and stuff from, like, various third-party websites. Man, it's absolutely disgusting that there have been jobs and other types of games that have failed and stuff like that, where it's like, that's ended up becoming the crux of the whole Metacritic stuff.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. I remember, like, the first time I think a lot of us heard about was when Destiny 1 came out, and it had to get like an 80 or above on Metacritic for like everybody to get bonuses, and they got like a 70. It had like a 79.
That is a terrible business model.
Yeah, and it's a weird. Yeah, but yeah, I guess I really think that right now the only thing people can do is just kind of raising awareness about it right now, and
that's all we can do.
It's good. It's good to see that, like, IGN, like you said, IGN, Kotaku, GameSpot are all like bringing this up, and this isn't gone away, and this isn't like an attack on Rockstar necessarily.
No, this isn't just Rockstar. It's other AAA companies too. EA, Activision, Ubisoft, hell. Even like other type of big parties and stuff have done similar stuff in the past as well. This is not an isolated incident. It has to be a industry style blame in this type of situation.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I think this is raising awareness on this and kind of like not letting this go away, and like is probably the best way to kind of make a change in this. I don't know what that change can or will, what it will be, but I think I think Telltale was like the first kind of step in that direction, where like it kind of came up, but it didn't really go completely die away. Like, it was a big deal when people talked about, like, especially with the way, not so much the crunch, it was brought up, but it was more just the way they were like, no severance, no nothing. Like, you got nothing. You got years of service and you get nothing for it. That was kind of the first thing. I think these kind of having back-to-back in about a 4 or 5 week stretch, in a shitty way for a lot of these people, but maybe in a good way for the future and the rest of the industry. This coming up is probably might have been a good thing in the end. But like I said, it's somewhere at the. I think, like I said, this. Something when we hear about this, we can't just like gloss over it. I think it needs to be talked about. Yes. But this is, like I said, it's not a video game. It's not necessarily. It's definitely a huge issue because it's more of a public thing. But I think this is an issue across the board for a lot of companies, but for a lot of industries. But I guess we'll have to wait and see where it goes from here.
Yep.
But moving on, like I said, there wasn't a lot of topics this week. This is our only other topic we have, which is good because we're actually going fairly long here.
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird thing. Like, so the PlayStation released, put a thing on their PlayStation blog on Thursday night, and I read it, and it was just like it was like update on a bunch of upcoming games for PlayStation, and there was like 4 or 5 games talked about and some updates on it, and like it kind of snuck in there a little bit is the fact that Days Gone got delayed. And I just pulled the the quote from the blog itself, and it's just we want to share a change in release date for this highly anticipated title from Ben's studio. We recently decided to move the release of Days Gone from the crowded February time frame to April 26, 2019. While the studio is eager to see Days Gone in the hands of fans, Ben Studio will take the opportunity to further polish the game, Days Gone. So, I think, delays isn't really much of a news story. Like, we'll usually put them in here if it's a big game, and we'll kind of just we'll mention it, we'll talk about it for a second, move on. I think the big thing about this, the really interesting part about this, is the fact that they said moving the game from the crowded February timeframe.
You do not hear major companies say that unless they are readily sure that they want to have this game go forth and succeed in its specific things. Because this is the first time, Tyler, I believe I've ever heard a company flat out say, hey, the February time period is very crowded with game releases. We're going to go ahead and move our game to April. Nobody's that direct.
Yeah. And it's something that goes on for years. Like, everybody used to call it the Call of Duty effect, where it's like a game would just get pushed out to early the following year because they didn't want to get delayed fairly late in the year to early next year because they don't want to mess with Call of Duty, and I don't really blame them. And then you see it this year with Red Dead Redemption. Everybody put their games out well before October 26th.
Yes.
Or they moved out, or it's coming out early next year. And I think that's, I don't think anybody's going to knock them for it.
No.
And I think it's smart, and if you try to release a game around that time, knowing it's not, nothing's bigger than probably going to be than a Rockstar release, and then and after that it's Call of Duty.
Yep.
And it's a pretty big jump after that of games that are up there. But, I don't think anybody, it's easy to mock them out. They're scared of this, but you're just being hard-headed at that point. It's not smart business-wise, and I just love the openness of it. And it's like, when it's silly to be upset. Like, you can be disappointed or a little bummed out about a delay. Who is it? But it's like, who's gonna be upset? Really upset at the core about a delay? Like, this game gets an additional 2 months to be worked on. Comes out in late April, when there's not really a lot going on.
True.
And we've talked about in the past. It was coming out on February 22nd, the same day as Anthem, Metro Exodus, and Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other games in February that were coming out too.
Man. Definitely was a smart idea to try to move out of that time frame in the freaking February. I agree with that. I actually feel like that this is a smart move on Sony's part in order to get more attention, more like an isolated part of the month where there's not too many game releases, which April definitely fits that bill, considering traditionally it hasn't been that type of the month of the year where there has been a lot of major gaming releases.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
God of War came out the late April this year, and look how well it sold. Obviously, it's God of War.
Yeah.
But, I think that nothing's really out that time. I hope more games in February move out, because that first quarter is insane.
Agreed.
We talked about the past, but
agreed.
Especially that day was just incredible. Like, you had 4 AAA games come out in one day.
Jeez.
Now we're down to 3. So I'm hoping at least 1 or 2 more get pushed out to March or something, or a little bit further.
Watch it be Crackdown.
I hope it's Crackdown. like it sounds like, for everything we hear about the game, it's like it's just like that game is just in pieces. So maybe another month or 2 in the oven wouldn't hurt either. But no, I think, like I said, it's silly to be upset about a delay. I think this is not necessarily a game that neither one of us are super excited for.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of looking at it, trying to be optimistic, especially me. Trying to be optimistic about what this game could be. But what we heard doesn't sound super overly positive. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. So it's cool. I think it's just a change that I hope we see more often. It's a change in honesty that I hope that it becomes a more of a thing we see in the future. But Gables, unless there's anything else you want to add, I think we're going to wrap up the show this week.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, coolio. Well then, thank you guys for listening. If you want more from us, we have a Facebook page and group. It is Drunk Dashers Podcast. Like and join us on there. On twitch.tv/Drunk Dashers Podcast. Follow us on there. Also at twitch.tv, I'm Gingerboy507. And And Gables, you are Colonel Gables, correct?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, so follow us on there as well. We're going to be doing some... all three of those Twitch channels you'll be seeing a lot of streaming from those channels.
Yes.
Extra Life especially on November 3rd. And maybe we might do some practice streams here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Just get us ready before we go for Extra Life in the next couple weeks. On iTunes, Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast. Subscribe to us on there. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment, please. On YouTube at Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe. Give us a big thumbs up. Leave a comment as well. And Twitter at Drunk Nerds Podcast. Or Drunk Nerds Pod, I'm sorry. Follow us on there, please. And I think that covers actually everything. So, until next time, everybody, I was your host, I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, I hope you have yourself a good week. I hope you play plenty of games. But most importantly of all, I hope you enjoyed yourself listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast.
Hey Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Bye, guys.
See ya.